Hey there, Jimmy the K, with the first installment of the Jimmy the K the Sports Show. How are y'all doing this evening? I am glad that you are joining us. I'm actually ecstatic that you are joining us. If you're watching us for the first time, as you can tell, to the right is a chat window where you can either, if you're a Ustream user or a Facebook user. If you're a Facebook user, you can sign in with your Facebook name and ask questions that way. Today's topic is going to be pretty simple. We're going to go through a little bit of this week's sports news, starting off with Alex Rodriguez filing a lawsuit against Major League Baseball. What are my thoughts on that? Well, I've got a plethora of thoughts on that. Let me take a, a stab at this. Personally, I think, the game of baseball, has been inundated with steroids for a while. Is it something that has been prevalent, just the last 10 years? No, it's probably been around longer and longer since then. So what is happening is these guys are getting away with it, and Major League Baseball didn't think to worry about it until the U.S. government got involved. And, first off, I want to let you know that this is definitely not going to be a show on politics. The only time I may say a little something about politics is right about now, when I'm going to tell you that the U.S. government, at the time that they were probing Major League Baseball for steroid use, had bigger and better things to do rather than, worry about who's doing steroids and who's not. That's going to be about all of it. The truth of the matter is, this is not a political show. If you want a political show, there are other shows on Ustream that you can follow. There are other shows that you can watch on TV that will give you, your political views the way you want them. Truth of the matter is, I'm not that show. I'm a sports show. What I'm going to tell you is that I am smash mouth. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. A lot of your TV outlets will sugarcoat stuff. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. This A-Rod situation where he's suing Major League Baseball. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Plain and simple as that. A-Rod did something wrong, and he needs to own up to it. That's the difference between him and the other players that did it, is they owned up to it. They said, hey, we were wrong. Most of them denied the fact that they knew that it was a drug or that it was a steroid or an enhancing drug. But they owned up to it. They said, hey, we did do it. We apologized to our team. We apologized to our teammates. We apologized to our fans. But yet you've got arrogant A-Rod over here. And, arrogance for several years with A-Rod has been going on ever since he jacked the Texas Rangers for a 10-year, $252 million deal. And, now the Yankees are stuck with that. They're stuck with trying to find a way to get A-Rod out of the organization. Now, questions may come in which case where somebody will ask me, do I think the Masahiro Tanaka signing by the New York Yankees is possibly a dump of the A-Rod salary? In some ways, I think it is. I think it is a salary dump of A-Rod's salary. They're going to look for any and every way out, whether it be pay him off, the rest of his salary and tell him to pack his bags and get out of here, or to, make him be the water boy for a year. So, one way or the other, A-Rod, that's the difference between A-Rod and all these other players. It's got a lot of Major League Baseball players ticked off, so to speak, at him, at the fact that, he is not owning up to what he did. he should just own up to it and get over it. Filing a lawsuit against Major League Baseball is not the smartest thing, and many pitchers have publicly already stated that, you know, if and when A-Rod comes back, they will very more than likely start beating A-Rod. Granted, do I think that's right or do I think it's wrong? It's up to you. It's up to me whether I think that's right or wrong. A-Rod did something wrong. He needs to own up to it. Plain and simple as that. And until he owns up to it, I don't see, the New York Yankees or anyone else for that matter being able to prove to the world that they're a very smart team until they can dump A-Rod's salary. How are they going to dump his salary? I have no idea, nor, do I think I have all the answers. But what I do think is that the New York Yankees need to dump his salary and get over it. A-Rod needs to face his year-long suspension, needs to be a man, grow a pair, dare I say, and just own up to what he did. If he owns up to what he did, I think the rest of Major League Baseball maybe just give him the benefit of the doubt. Will they? I don't know. But, this all started many, many years ago when the U.S. government felt like they had to stick their nose into something where it didn't belong. It was the U.S. government that wanted to probe Major League Baseball for steroids, when at the time the economy was so screwed up that it was pitiful. Now, like I said, this is not a show on politics, but, the U.S. government has bigger and better things to do than stick their nose into Major League Baseball. Had they not done that, Major League Baseball would have done what they needed to, one way or the other, whether or not you like it as a fan or not, and they would have moved on. But instead, somebody bigger and better had to get involved and do some things in which I don't feel is right. So, with that being said, do I think what A-Rod is doing is a smart thing? No. I don't think it's smart at all. I think what he's doing is showing a bunch of young kids out there that look up to him, which I'm pretty sure a lot of those kids that look up to him don't look up to him anymore. He's showing them that, you can do what you want. And as long as you have a lawyer, you might just win. But in this case, A-Rod, I'm sorry. You're a moron. You're an idiot. You're a dingaling, you're a dingleberry, whatever you want to call yourself. Grow a pair, own up to it, and be a man. There's a right way to play the sport and a wrong way to play the sport, and you played it wrong. You are smearing the game along with people like Barry Bonds, Jose Canseco, Sammy Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro. You're smearing the sport for people like Michael Young, Nolan Ryan, and other guys that did it right. Plain and simple as that. Let's stop teaching kids how to do stuff the wrong way and start teaching them how to do stuff the right way. A-Rod, grow a pair. Parents, be there to teach your kids that this is not a right thing to do, because in the long run, you're going to get caught. And you're going to have to own up to your mistakes. Lying's not going to help you get out of it. Plain and simple as that. The next topic I want to look at, I want to actually look at a listener question. I know he's been waiting on this for a while. So Mr. Oscar De La Serra Jr. asked a question on about a month ago. Well, almost 2 months ago, on what I thought the Texas Rangers' next move was going to be. At the time, This was my personal opinion. I'm going to tell you what I wrote in response to Mr. Oscar de la Sierra, and see if you agree with me or not. Personally, I think it could be one of many moves. They've been linked to Price, but I don't believe they'll get into that with the fact that right now they feel like their everyday second baseman is Jurickson Profar. So I really think, getting into the fact of trying to trade for David Price, you'd have to include Profar, which totally defeats the purpose of the Texas Rangers trading Ian Kinsler to Detroit. I believe, though, in some ways, there might be some whisperings of the Rangers being possibly linked to Jeff Samardzija. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right now, but there is a small inkling that possibly they're linked to him. How true that is, I don't know. But personally, this is what I think they ought to do. The biggest move, I think, for Texas, which they've already done, they've got their outfield set, is I think personally what the Texas Rangers need to do is possibly try to sign Nelson Cruz to a 1-year, possibly around $15 million deal to see if he can't get his value built back up, possibly, for next year's free agent class. The free agent class for outfielders is not very good. He'd actually be, if his numbers were to increase and he stayed clean, his numbers would actually be pretty good. So, you probably 1 year and around $15 million could sign Nelson Cruz, in my opinion. And I think that's something that Texas ought to do. They've been linked to possibly trading Mitch Moreland, but I don't see that happening because, they've said Mitch Moreland is going to be their left-handed DH and possible outfielder for the season. Does that mean it's going to happen? Not necessarily. I think personally, though, I think Texas ought to sign Nelson Cruz, like I said, to a 1-year, $15 million deal. And then after the deal, possibly look to, find a place for Mitch Moreland, whether it be just left-handed DH, outfield some, here and there. But one way or the other, you got to work the two in together. But I think Nelson Cruz should take a 1-year, $15 million deal from Texas Rangers to increase his value for the free agent class next year. This is pretty easy stuff for you to do. Oscar is a friend of mine, and he messaged me through Facebook. You can message us through our All About Sports Zone Facebook page. Go to Facebook and look up All About Sports Zone, not all one word. Or you could go to Twitter and follow me at Jimmy Kersey1. Or if you would like to email us questions, you go to all about sports. I think that's right. All about sports zone at gmail.com. I'll have to remember this. All about sports zone at gmail.com and ask your questions that way. Listeners' questions is definitely the way to go. I definitely like the way that you can ask questions by either emailing me or twittering me or tweeting me or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what they call it these days. Y'all younger lads can tell me. But personally, I like the fact of being a Ustream broadcaster with the fact that you, the listener, can ask chat questions. When you come in, you can ask me, what I think this team is going to do or what I think this team is going to do, and I'll be able to answer that, right there on the spot. So, with that being said, just like Oscar, come on by, ask questions. I encourage questions, and I appreciate the questions. So, come on by and ask however you would like, and they will get answered. So thank you, Oscar, for your question. And again, I'm so sorry that it took a couple months to answer, but that's what I think the Texas Rangers ought to do now. Um, I do think with the fact that Derek Holland is hurt right now, they need to go out and look for possibly a veteran pitcher to set in his spot, a 1 year incentive laden deal. Um, so somebody that can come in and step in for a year, and hopefully fill that gap for Derek Holland. So that's what I really think the Texas Rangers would do. On another note, speaking of the Texas Rangers, yesterday Michael Young returned to the Texas area where, well, I say he returned. Actually, he lives in the Arlington or DFW area to say goodbye. He retired officially yesterday from the Texas Rangers organization. He had a few good offers. I believe he had 3 good offers. The 2 offers that I hear were from the Dodgers and the Pirates. The Phillies could have possibly been another one along with the Rangers, but only speculation can tell. We really don't know. But he retires officially. But he said basically that he's wants to spend more time with the family, but that his love for baseball is not going to go away. He's going to love the game, and he'll always be around the game in some capacity. Also, John Daniels did hint that when the time did come, Michael Young could approach, or they might approach Michael Young, or Michael Young could approach them for a possible front office deal. Pudge Rodriguez, Darren Oliver are both in front office roles for the Texas Rangers, and they're former players of the team. They know what they're doing. They know what to look for in those things, and they're moving on from there. So, congratulations to Michael Young. He spent 12 great years with the Texas Rangers. And believe it or not, me being the sports fan that I knew, or that I am, I didn't really actually know that he did not spend a day on the disabled list. That's pretty cool. A player that spends, over 1,700 games and doesn't spend one day on the disabled list. Now, that's pretty talented right there for somebody like that. But, he was the type of guy that he said during his press conference yesterday that he was the type of guy that, felt like he needed to better himself every day. When he went out there on the field, if the pitcher was 0 for 4, he wanted to make that pitcher feel like they had to work for that 0 for 4. Which, is the type of player you want on your team. It's always the type of player you want on your team. So, congratulations, Michael Young, on your retirement. And, good luck in your future endeavors. And we'll look forward to seeing you around the Rangers ballpark in Arlington, or whatever they call it now, Arlington Stadium, in the years to come. Also in sports news, I want to take a look. Peyton Manning actually won his 5th MVP today. He earned 49 of the 50 votes. That is 98% of the votes for Peyton Manning. Manning had a record-setting season. This was a Peyton Manning type season. And, in some ways, I think the Indianapolis Colts have to be kicking themselves at the fact that a couple of years ago, they didn't re-sign him. They felt like, he was washed up. They weren't too, keen on the fact that his neck problems may or may not hold up. But, instead, John Elway goes on out and signs Peyton Manning. And he comes out last year, takes them to the AFC Championship game. They lose. Come back this year and takes them to the Super Bowl. We'll see what happens tomorrow evening. I'm a Broncos fan. I don't know if you're a Broncos fan or if you're a Seahawks fan. But, I definitely like to know who you think will win the Super Bowl. Do you think the Broncos will win, or do you think the Seahawks will win? Both are very, very good teams. And personally, I think, you always hear in sports that defense wins championships. But the big question is, do you think the Seahawks actually have a good enough team Do you think the Seahawks actually have a good enough team to be able to hang out with the Denver Broncos? Peyton Manning is experienced. This is how I see it. Granted, I think the Seahawks defense is number one, and you can't go wrong with a number one defense. But personally, in my opinion, I feel like, that Peyton Manning has the experience. He has the edge over Russell Wilson. Ugh, try saying that fast 3 times. Russell Wilson. He has that edge. Russell Wilson's never been there before. He's never done that. Now, granted, am I saying that he'll lose that first time out? No. It's very possible to go on out and win. Russell Wilson is a very good quarterback, don't get me wrong. But do I think that the Seahawks offense can hang with Denver's defense? No. Do I think that Denver's offense can hang with Seattle's defense? Yes. Do I think it'll be a high-scoring game? No. I think, possibly you'll be seeing a game somewhere in the vicinity of 17-14. I think Denver, will win possibly 17-14 coming in the last minutes of the game. Anywhere from a minute on down, they'll kick that game-winning field goal. But we'll have to wait and see tomorrow evening what happens. As you can see over here, I started a poll. Hopefully you can start polling. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? We'll run this until tomorrow evening, I guess. The Denver Broncos or Seattle Seahawks. And we'll get your opinions. I want your questions. I want you as an audience. I want you to ask questions through chat. There is so much in the sports world to go on that, I can't go through everything, but I would love for you to ask the questions. I'd love for you to give me ideas. I'd love for you to give me idea topics for each and every show as we venture out each and every Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So, this is going to be your show. It's not going to be mine. It's not going to be, Miss J's. It's not going to be Big E's. It's going to be your show. I want you to ask the questions. I want you to give me the topics to talk about because this is your show, not my show. Granted, it's got my name on it. That means nothing. I want you to be 100% of the show. I want you to give me the ideas. I want you to ask me the questions. And I want you to be the next wave of people that help this show go above and go beyond. Let's look at a couple other sports news. Possibly looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder, who continue to strive. Kevin Durant the other night took on LeBron James. And LeBron James, even before the game the other day, when they took each other on, publicly stated that, not just one person could guard Kevin Durant. You need multiple people. But yet, that Wednesday night they come out and play, Durant lands over 30 points on King James. Now, instead of King James, you're hearing a lot of King Kevin. What do I think of this? You know, I love the fact that Kevin Durant is around the city where I'm living, and that he's helping the city grow in the sports world and helping us strive to go above and beyond. But what I'm worried about is that Kevin Durant's not going to last after this year. He's going to go on to a different team, and he's going to, put those numbers up elsewhere. Granted, do I know that? No, I don't know that. No one really knows that, to be quite honest with you, except Kevin Durant. If the offer's right, they'll take the offer. But, so many things and so much speculation right now. A lot of the speculation is that, because Kevin Durant sold his house, he had a multi-million-dollar house in the Oklahoma City area. He sold that and moved into a condo in downtown Oklahoma City. A lot of people are speculating that this may be his last year in Oklahoma City. Is it? Well, we don't know. Like I said, if the offer is right, he's going to take the offer. He's going to stay with Oklahoma City because this is the city I feel like he wants to win a ring with. But if he feels like, Oklahoma City is, dare I say, stiffing him salary-wise, I could see him going elsewhere. What team could I see him going to? I don't know, to be quite honest with you. LeBron James is a free agent after this year. A lot of people, including a good friend of mine, feels like LeBron James could very well go back to Cleveland. Do I think that's a possibility? I think that is a huge possibility. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. I'd like to see LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook all on the same team. I really would. I feel like, they could win multiple championships even after, a couple of years by doing that. So, it's all speculation on whether or not he's going to leave the Oklahoma City Metro or not. No one really knows, and no one will really know until the end of the season. So, with that being said, this week we took a stab at A-Rod's steroid situation and how I feel like that's going to play out in Major League Baseball and how that could end his career very possibly because the New York Yankees will probably make him pack his bags. Also, we took a look at Michael Young's career in Texas, being a stellar career, a career in which, he felt honored to play with the club. John Daniels felt honored to have him on the team, and Ron Washington said that, it would be a disgrace in some ways for Michael Young to not stay in some capacity in baseball because there is some young kid out there who's going to be that next Michael Young. So, we looked at that. We also looked at Oscar de la Cerda's question from a little while back on what I felt like the Texas Rangers' next move would be. The last thing that I want to let you know about is that the Texas Rangers signed Daniel Bard, former Boston Red Sox, to a minor league deal in which he may or may not be ready for spring training. The speculation is that he will not be ready for spring training. But they signed him to a minor league deal, and the Rangers feel like in the long run he will get better, and you know they'll have a rotation piece. So with that being said, this is the Jimmy the K Sports Show. I'm Jimmy the K, your host. Remember, you can ask chat questions through here on Ustream each and every time I'm on. That's every Saturday, 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time. You can ask through our Facebook page, All About Sports Zone. You can ask at my Twitter site at JimmyKersey1 or email me allaboutsportszone@gmail.com. I'm Jimmy the K. See you next week. Peace out.